This isn't just a waterfall, it's a global landmark. On the border between Brazil and Argentina, there's a force of nature that refuses to go unnoticed. Iguazu isn't just one of the largest waterfall systems on Earth. It's a World Heritage Site, recognized by UNESCO, and officially listed as one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Stronger than a river, louder than thunder, it draws millions each year, not just for the view, but for the experience. In this video, we will explore what makes this landscape so exceptional, the scale of its falls, the biodiversity it protects, and how 2 countries work together to preserve one of the most extraordinary natural areas on the planet. Right on the border between Brazil and Argentina, 2 national parks protect one of the most powerful natural spectacles on Earth. On the Brazilian side, it's called Parque Nacional do Iguaçu, located in the state of Paraná. Across the river in the Argentine province of Misiones lies Parque Nacional Iguazu. Together, they cover nearly 260,000 hectares of preserved forest and roaring waterfalls. The nearest cities, Foz do Iguazu in Brazil and Puerto Iguazu in Argentina, are not just gateways to the falls, they're hubs of tourism, culture, and logistics. Between them sits the 3 Borders landmark, where Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay meet, marked by monuments and a symbolic view of shared territory. Getting to the parks is straightforward. Foz do Iguazu International Airport is just 15 kilometers from the Brazilian entrance. On the Argentine side, visitors usually arrive through Cataratas del Iguazu International Airport near Puerto Iguazu. Both parks are equipped with visitor centers offering information, ticketing, orientation, and basic services. Internal transportation is part of the experience, from panoramic buses on the Brazilian side to an ecological train that cuts through the forest on the Argentine side. Crossing between countries is common, especially for tourists wanting to see both perspectives. It's possible to visit both parks in a single trip, as long as border requirements are followed. A passport, and in some cases a visa, are necessary, but local agencies often help streamline this process. The falls themselves were shaped by volcanic activity and erosion over millions of years. The Rio Iguazu, fed by tributaries through southern Brazil, takes a dramatic plunge before meeting the Rio Paraná. The surrounding landscape belongs to the Atlantic forest biome, one of the most threatened ecosystems in the world. The terrain is mostly flat, but deep canyons and rock formations cut through the forest near the falls, creating a landscape that's both dynamic and fragile. The Argentine side features denser vegetation and longer trails, offering closer encounters with the falls. The Brazilian side provides wider panoramic views. Both are stunning in different ways. Despite the border, the 2 parks operate under shared conservation principles. Both are recognized as World Heritage Sites by UNESCO, and both are committed to preserving biodiversity and promoting sustainable tourism. The name Iguazu comes from the Tupi-Guarani language, meaning big water. Many of the falls have names that reflect their scale or the impression they leave, like Garganta do Diabo or Devil's Throat, the tallest and most dramatic drop, where the water crashes with thunderous force. These names weren't chosen at random. They carry echoes of the people who lived here long before it became a protected site. This geography isn't just impressive. It's not just about seeing the falls. It's about understanding the land they shape. Long before the first maps were drawn or borders were defined, the land surrounding the Iguazu Falls had already begun to take shape. Millions of years ago, volcanic activity and shifts in tectonic plates fractured the basaltic terrain. Over time, the Iguazu River found its path through those cracks, carving a dramatic drop in elevation. That natural process eventually gave rise to what's now one of the largest waterfall systems in the world. But long before tourism, before conservation, this region was already home to people. The area was inhabited by indigenous groups, especially the Guarani, whose presence predates colonization by centuries. The first recorded European to witness the falls was the Spanish explorer Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca in 1542. His arrival marked the beginning of centuries of colonial presence. The region eventually became part of shifting empires, trade routes, and territorial disputes. On the Argentine side, Jesuit missions were established in nearby areas during the 17th and 18th centuries. They brought Christianity, built settlements, and reshaped the social structure of indigenous communities, often with conflict and resistance. As the modern nations of Brazil and Argentina developed, interest in preserving natural areas began to grow. In Brazil, the Parque Nacional do Iguazu was created in 1939, largely thanks to advocacy by aviator and conservationist Alberto Santos Dumont. After visiting the area and being impressed by its scale and potential, he pressured local authorities to protect it. In Argentina, the Parque Nacional Iguazu was established even earlier, in 1934. Both parks have faced challenges: illegal deforestation, poaching, and pressure from tourism. At one point, the Brazilian park was even added to UNESCO's list of World Heritage in danger, prompting stricter controls and greater public oversight. Today, both sides have improved their environmental policies and visitor management strategies, but new threats, such as climate change and urban expansion, remain. It's a place shaped by time, shaped by people, and constantly reshaped by the force of water. In the dense forests that frame the Iguazu Falls, life is everywhere, moving through the canopy, hidden beneath the underbrush, and flowing with the rivers. This is one of the most biodiverse corners of South America, which once covered much of Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. Today, only a fraction of that original forest remains intact, and the national parks on both sides of the border are vital to preserving what's left. The fauna is both rich and surprising. Over 400 species of birds have been recorded, including toucans, harpy eagles, black-fronted piping guans, and the colorful surukua. These birds play essential ecological roles, such as dispersing seeds and pollinating plants. On the ground and in the trees, mammals like capuchin monkeys, howler monkeys, agoutis, and coatis are commonly spotted. The coati, in particular, is a frequent sight along visitor paths, curious and always searching for food, though park rules strictly forbid feeding them. The apex predator here is the jaguar. It's rarely seen, but its presence is key to the ecological balance. As a top predator, it controls the populations of medium-sized herbivores and carnivores, preventing overgrazing and disruption of food chains. Alongside, there are pumas, ocelots, and jaguarundis, forming a rare concentration of wildcats in a single protected area. Other notable mammals include the giant anteater, the marsh deer, and the lowland tapir, species that are either threatened or near threatened across their range. Reptiles and amphibians are equally diverse, although more discreet. The golden lancehead, a venomous pit viper, is found in nearby forest zones, and the rivers host caimans, turtles, and a variety of freshwater fish. Amphibians, frogs, and toads especially, are abundant in the moist areas near the falls. Many are highly sensitive to pollution, making them useful indicators of environmental health. Insects are a major part of this ecosystem, with butterflies being the most visible. The park is home to more than 800 butterfly species, and they're often seen in large groups near puddles and riverbanks, drawn by minerals in the soil. Some species exhibit mimicry, while others display vibrant iridescent colors as part of their defense strategies. They're more than just a visual attraction. They help pollinate flowers and serve as prey for birds and small reptiles. The flora is just as layered and complex. The Atlantic forest here supports more than 2,000 plant species, many of them endemic. Towering canopy trees like fig trees, cedars, and jequitibas form the upper levels of the forest. Epiphytes, such as orchids and bromeliads, cling to tree trunks, absorbing moisture from the air rather than drawing it from the ground. The endangered araucaria and the palmito jussara are threatened by illegal logging and harvesting. The palmito, once common, has become rare in some areas due to overexploitation, yet it remains a crucial food source for several animals, including the toucan, which helps spread its seeds. Both environments are essential, and neither is complete without the other. Protecting this biodiversity isn't a passive task. What thrives here does so not just by chance, but because the space is respected, studied, and allowed to grow. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also check our playlist for more incredible World Heritage Sites. For anyone visiting the Iguazu Falls, one thing becomes clear right away. There's no single way to experience them. The falls stretch across 2 national parks, and each side offers a different perspective, a different rhythm, and a different relationship with the landscape. On the Brazilian side, the visit begins with a panoramic bus ride that cuts through the forest. Along the way, visitors are dropped off at key points like the main trail that leads directly to the falls. That trail, known as the Trilha das Cataratas, is about 1.2 kilometers long and gradually brings you closer to the water. The views open up little by little until you're face to face with the Garganta do Diabo, the devil's throat, seen head on. At the end, a suspended walkway takes you right over the river. The observation decks are positioned for maximum visibility and minimum impact. Passarelas extend into the river, allowing visitors to stand just meters from the edge. These platforms are carefully designed so that even during peak times, there's room to stop, look, and absorb the view without crowding the environment. For those looking to get even closer, the Macuco Safari Boat Tour offers an entirely different perspective. After a short electric jeep ride and a brief hike through the forest, visitors board a motorized boat that approaches the base of the waterfalls. Beyond the main circuit, the Pocho Preto and Bananeiras trails offer quieter routes into the forest. These paths are longer and require a guide, often combining walking, biking, or kayaking. These trails are ideal for those who want to explore beyond the falls and understand the broader ecosystem. Just outside the park entrance, the Parque das Aves offers a complement to the day. It's home to hundreds of species, many of them rescued from trafficking or habitat loss. It's not technically part of the national park, but for many visitors, it's just as memorable. Across the border in Argentina, the experience changes. The Parque Nacional Iguazu is built around a network of trails and elevated walkways that take visitors deep into the forest and right above the river. The upper and lower circuits offer different views. The upper path looks down over the falls, while the lower one brings you to their base. To reach the most famous section, visitors take the Tren Ecologico de la Selva, a quiet, open-air train that winds through the forest. It stops at the trailhead for the Garganta del Diablo, where a long series of walkways stretch over the river itself. During certain seasons, it's possible to take a boat to Isla San Martin, a small island located between the falls. The island offers another set of trails and viewpoints, as well as closer encounters with the cliffs and waterfalls. The park also includes nature trails like the Sendero Verde, where wildlife sightings are common and the pace is slower. Ideally, both parks should be visited, preferably on separate days, to take in each at its own pace. No matter which trail you choose, or which side you start from, what's certain is that every visit to Iguazu is shaped by the movement of water, the silence of the forest, and the scale of something that refuses to be contained in a single viewpoint. Standing at the edge of the falls, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer power of the water. But the numbers behind Iguazu are just as staggering as the experience. The falls are made up of around 275 individual drops, stretching for nearly 2.7 kilometers along the border. Their height varies, but most are between 60 and 80 meters tall. The most dramatic of them all, the Devil's Throat, plunges from 82 meters in a horseshoe-shaped canyon that swallows half the river's volume at once. On an average day, the falls pour about 1.5 million liters of water per second into the lower basin. But during floods, that number can rise dramatically, reaching over 12 million liters per second in peak conditions. The spray rises so high it creates its own microclimate, feeding mosses and ferns that grow nowhere else. The parks that protect this system are just as vast. The Brazilian side covers roughly 185,000 hectares, while the Argentine side adds another 67,000. Together, they shelter more than 2,000 species of plants and over 1,000 documented animal species, including birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and insects. The park's popularity is just as impressive. In 2023 alone, the Brazilian side received over 1.7 million visitors, with similar numbers reported in Argentina. Tourists come from all over the world, but Brazil, Argentina, the United States, France, and Germany make up the majority. The falls have also left their mark on pop culture. They've been featured in major international films like Moonraker from the James Bond series and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. When comparing Iguazu to other famous waterfalls, it stands tall, literally. It's significantly higher than Niagara Falls, and during flood periods, it can surpass Victoria Falls in water volume. The park lives in constant motion. Every visit is different. And for those who pay attention, the numbers and facts only add depth to what's already one of the most powerful natural experiences on the planet. Iguazu isn't just a natural wonder admired by millions, it's a protected site of global importance, recognized on both sides of the border by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. The Argentine park received this status in 1984, followed by the Brazilian park in 1986. Both were listed based on criteria that highlight natural significance, including Criterion number 7, exceptional natural beauty, especially due to the scale, power, and visual impact of the waterfalls. Criterion number 10, importance for conservation of biodiversity, with habitats that support rare, threatened, and endemic species. Earning this title isn't just symbolic. It represents a global commitment to protect the area and creates responsibilities for governments, park authorities, and even visitors. In practice, this recognition pushed both countries to strengthen their conservation efforts. Brazil and Argentina developed their own management plans, but also began to coordinate strategies, particularly in areas like biodiversity monitoring and tourism control. Initiatives to combat illegal logging and poaching were expanded, and environmental education programs became part of park operations. Universities, NGOs, and public institutions joined in research and community outreach projects, reinforcing a network of protection around the parks. Even so, protecting an area this large comes with challenges. Tourism is a double-edged sword. It brings visibility and funding, but also increases pressure on trails, wildlife, and infrastructure. Both parks had to find ways to limit access in certain zones, regulate transportation, and monitor environmental impact in real time. Urban expansion, invasive species, and climate change also bring new threats. On the Brazilian side, the park was once placed on UNESCO's list of World Heritage in danger due to deforestation and highway construction near its borders. That status was later removed, but the warning led to tighter regulations and broader public awareness. Protecting biodiversity is one of the park's top priorities. Species like the jaguar, the ocelot, and the giant anteater depend on large, continuous forest areas. Programs focused on protecting endangered species are active on both sides, often in partnership with scientific institutions. UNESCO doesn't stop at recognition. The organization conducts periodic monitoring, and both parks must report on the status of conservation, infrastructure, and management. These reports help ensure that international standards are met and guide future improvements. In addition to its World Heritage status, Iguazu also holds another global title. In 2011, it was officially named one of the new 7 Wonders of Nature, a recognition based on public voting and expert evaluation. This distinction helped increase international awareness, boosting tourism while reinforcing the need for careful environmental management. What's clear is that Iguazu isn't protected by chance. It's the result of coordinated effort, political will, and constant adaptation. Every person who visits Iguazu leaves with a different memory. Some remember the sound, others the mist. Some just stop and watch, overwhelmed by how small everything else seems in comparison. Now it's your turn. If you've been there, what moment stayed with you the most? And if you haven't, what would you want to see first? The devil's throat? The butterflies? A silent trail deep in the forest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see how many ways there are to experience one of the most powerful places on Earth.